Hello everyone, welcome back to TCF Sport. My name is Ben, one half of the Casual Fans, as ever, joined by my brother Stephen.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are.
You like saying that, don't you? Said it a couple of times on the podcast.
Yeah, I know.
But it's
Don't want to allude to what time we're recording, you see.
Depending on whoever's listening.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I always...
It's not like we're going out live, though.
No. Well, maybe one day, but I always...
It'll only be live once. Or if we do it again, twice. Twice! No.
He's on fire this morning, straight into it. Put me out. I always struggle, like, every time I introduce... This is now the 79th episode that's gone out, but I always struggle sometimes to think what to say at the start, know what to say. I don't know how else to introduce you, besides Brexit Steve, which I've used occasionally. Brother Stephen.
Sometimes it's just you just want a generic one. You don't have to be funny all the time, do you?
No.
Sometimes just generic. It's like, welcome back, and straight into it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're here for, isn't it? To
kind of, yeah. Well, and to have a laugh.
Yeah.
And to have our opinions like obliterated,
including by Arsenal fans, as I said on one of the Saka clips that I put out. So.
Well, they are a very toxic fan base.
Yeah, I know. I know, genuinely. We saw that at the end of the Wenger era and the Unai Emery era, but especially still on social media.
The infighting of social media just exacerbates everything.
I know.
Like, if I ever came into power, social media, gone!
But I can...
TCF Sport, gone! Because no social media. But we'd still be doing this.
Well, we were doing this before we ever started recording, and we just sort of decided to start recording the conversations that we were having.
I mean, long before your time, there was like pirate radio and stuff like that. I wouldn't know how to do it, but... Maybe we'll do that once a week for an hour. I don't know. If social media was gone, obviously.
Yeah.
Which it'll never be.
No. Yeah, too many people feel like they're reliant on it now as well.
Well, and there'd be a whole workforce completely obliterated. All those influencers. I'm going to be an influencer.
Why do you think we're doing this? I thought that's what the ultimate aim was.
No, so I'm going to get really fat and then I'll be a gym influencer because you'll be like, Jesus Christ, I need to go to the gym. Don't look like that. Yeah. I'm not size shaming anyone. Don't cancel me.
And then you can have your weight loss journey.
My weight loss journey.
That's how you get followers.
Jeez, I know. Right.
Anyway, how you been? You okay?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah, caught up on the football from last weekend now?
I have, I've seen it all now. Yeah, I have seen it all. Whether I remember it or not. I was going through your notes again. I kind of remember the Dallo miss. I know it's pretty bad. It's pretty much an open goal, wasn't it?
It was an open goal, yeah.
But I can't...
picture it.
Like I say, I sort of remember it, but...
To be fair, I didn't watch Match of the Day 2. I only watched the 3-minute highlights on Sky, but that's what I really needed to watch to see the amount of chances that United had. But I guess the main talking point, it's not so much to talk about the things that happened in that game, it's to talk about what happened afterwards, which is obviously Ten Hag sacking who he's been replaced by, of which we'll come to. Before we get into any of the Match Week 9 stuff, though, I did just want to ask a couple of things about the Ballon d'Or, because obviously it was the Ballon d'Or ceremony on Monday. Mm-hmm. So first of all, do you think that Rodri was a deserved winner?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't actually agree with Carragher's comments about, was it Vinicius he was backing?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, it should be Vinicius because he's an attacking player. Like Rodri's won the European Championship, won the Premier League again. He's pretty much key to that City team. I don't know if he's key to the Spanish team because I don't watch them as much, but...
No, he played well at the Euros, so but obviously the only... You're saying maybe not key to it because he came off in the final and they still won, but that's because they have a good squad. But in terms of like his record at City, there's always that stat last season of they went unbeaten for so many games with Rodri. I think the only game he's lost in about the last 80 odd games was the FA Cup final. Yeah. So it kind of proves its point, and hence why when he got injured this season, going to be ruled out for the whole season, everyone was saying that they're going to struggle now because their record without Rodri compared to with Rodri is completely different. So
well, we said it, didn't we? Like when Odegaard got injured, it was like, oh, it's over. Then Rodri got injured the next week. It's like it's back on.
Yeah.
But why does it always have to be an attacking player?
I don't know.
He's not exactly a defensive player. But I know he's not like an attacking flair player.
Yeah.
And obviously you've had Ronaldo and Messi over the years. Benzema, wasn't it? Recently.
Benzema, Modric won it in 2018 when Croatia got to the World Cup final.
Probably should have been Mbappe that season, actually.
Potentially. The last defensive player I think won it was Fabio Cannavaro, 2006.
I believe so, yeah. When Italy won the World Cup.
Yeah.
As a goalkeeper ever won it?
Lev Yashin, I think, but that's going back.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So your knowledge is better than mine because I wouldn't know. That's why I've asked the question.
It's because it's the only goalkeeper that I can recall ever winning it.
Fair enough.
I think, yeah. I know, again, we're agreeing straight from the off, but I said it before. I mean, Vinicius would have been...
What are you doing, riding a horse there?
Well, I got, the last week when I was talking about Calvert-Lewin and now this week...
I don't know what that was either. No. You've gone from riding a horse to skating. Welcome to the NHL podcast.
No, I do think Rodri is a deserving winner. And I also thought, did you see the Madrid reaction to the winner? They obviously found out who was winning it in advance, not a few days in advance as they used to, but the day before or on the day. As a result of that, they didn't send any officials. Vinicius Jr. didn't attend. They basically boycotted the ceremony because they thought they'd been harshly treated. It's like, what? Spit
your dummy out.
Yeah.
I saw a clip on YouTube, like a different football podcast thing, and the guys nailed it. It's like, it's unsportsmanlike.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't get our way, so I get that's indicative now of society, I think, a little bit.
I know, but I get they're the biggest club in Europe, Real Madrid, or they've won the Champions League 15 times now, and it's a great institution, it's a great football club, but it doesn't mean that you have a divine right to win every single award, especially if you won the Champions League. Plus, Vinicius Jr. still came second. They had Bellingham third, Carvajal fourth. Ancelotti won Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
The team, Real Madrid, won Team of the Year. Arguably, that could have gone to Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso, considering they lost one game last season, and that was the Europa League final. Yeah, and if they'd won that, they would have won the treble. So, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's all down to opinions. And is that the opinions of the players? They go to the players for those votes, or officials, or something like that?
I can't remember how they do it if the players are still involved. I know journalists are involved in picking. They rank it, and then whoever gets the most points.
Did the players used to have
wins.
Like a top three?
I don't
know if they still do. Like I say,
if it is players, it's only the captains of the national teams or the major clubs in Europe. I don't know. I think it might be national teams more than anything else.
And again, that's just at the end of the day, it's just their opinions, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right, but grow up. Pathetic, isn't it? Pathetic.
No, I agree. Before we move on to talk about match week 9, one more question on the Ballon d'Or. Best player to have never won it.
Paulo Di Canio.
His goal against Wimbledon got to be up there.
Who's Wimbledon?
Who's Wimbledon?
Yeah. Oh, you mean MK Dons?
They're playing today, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah.
FA Cup.
FA Cup first round.
Yeah. Obviously, people go, biased. Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
There was a couple of seasons between him and Ronaldinho, and I think when Ronaldinho first won it, it was Ronaldinho.
2003. He might have won it before then, but Henry came second in 2003.
Yeah, but that's before they got what you see the trophy as now, because that used to be like, I think, European or something.
Yeah.
And Nedved won it that year.
Yeah, well, Nedved has supposedly said that the year, so 2004 was the year that he won it. Obviously, we went unbeaten.
So that should have been the year that Henry won it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nedved has said himself, again from what I've seen on social media, that Henry deserved to win it that year. So it's kind of like consensus that Henry deserved to win it.
Yeah, but again, that was like a European award, and the world's best player, they had like first, second, third, and it was like a gold, silver, and bronze like plaque thing.
Yeah, because I remember when Ronaldinho won it in the past. Obviously, Henry was competing for it then. You had like Ronaldinho, Henry, Eto'o. I remember pictures of those three at a ceremony. Yeah. Lampard as well, I think, was top 3 with Ronaldinho and Eto'o before. But Henry is a very good shout. Other ones that I could mention, just because Ronaldo and Messi dominated it for so long, means the likes of Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets never won it.
There was a season Lewandowski probably should have won it, had a great return.
Yeah.
And I think it went to one of Ronaldo and Messi.
Yeah, and Rodri as well. If you just base it purely on stats, he had statistically the best year. I think when Bayern won the Champions League, it might have been 2013, but they still gave it to one of Ronaldo and Messi, and Rodri finished third. So yeah.
But then sometimes you look at it, and that all seems a bit political at times as well. And Real Madrid throwing their toys out the pram. Oh, he didn't get it. Oh, like tough. Like, but the thing about that as well, though, is you're all multi-millionaires. Oh, so you didn't get a bit of shiny metal. Another bit of shiny metal. There's people out there with proper problems.
Yeah,
right?
I know. It's just, I agree. Anyway, let's come to match week 9. So I've written down a few talking points. Where would you like to start, though? Any particular?
Oh, that's a good one. Matt's Viper to kickstart Wolves this season.
Yeah.
We touched on that in the last podcast.
Well, I did a clip as well, didn't I, of my donut of the week.
You did, yeah, I saw that. Very good. Do you know what? Let's, not because they lost, but let's start at Spurs with Palace, losing away to Palace. Because I noted something down the commentator said.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did he say?
So he said, so I don't have my spectacles. He said, I need to be near the microphone, didn't I? He said, struggling Palace lead informed Spurs. And you're like, they're hardly in form, are they? They're indifferent.
They're inconsistent.
And that's not slating Spurs.
No.
They have been. They beat an average to poor United away, and everyone hypes them up. And then they lost again after that, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Who did they lose to?
Brighton, because they were 2-0 up.
Yeah, 2-0 up against Brighton. 2-0 up, you've messed it up.
Yeah.
Nice,
not swearing.
And yeah, so their form has been indifferent. And that's why I had Palace to win on the day, because it was an away game as well.
Off the back of a Europa League game, not to make excuses, but
no.
The only place they have been consistent in terms of results is the Europa League so far this season.
Yeah, and even home form, they can be a little bit...
Yeah.
I know. Well, I could get their results up, but...
Well, they lost to us at home. They've beaten Everton.
Yeah, lost to us, but beat Everton, beat Brentford, but went 1-0 down, didn't they?
Yeah, and they could have. That was their chances at both ends.
Yeah. So they've not looked like solid. They're obviously entertaining, and he's got a style of play, but that's also a risk you take, isn't it? So
yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that. I just sort of think, do they even know what they're talking about half the time?
Well, it's the
when we get onto Arsenal, there's something the commentator said there, and I was just like, you're either being deliberate, or you really don't know your trade.
Well, it feels like there's a narrative, at least with certain teams. I'm not talking about Arsenal. We'll talk about Arsenal later, because as you said previously, like we do focus on Arsenal a little bit too much, and yeah, we'll talk about.
We need to do a separate podcast just for Arsenal stuff,
just for specific episodes. Yeah. But there always seems to be some sort of narrative around Tottenham for some reason. I don't understand, and you can tell by. So obviously we're recording this on the Sunday. They're still to play today. Got a tough game at home against Villa, but. So far this season in the Premier League, 1-4, drawn 1, lost 4. That smacks of indifferent. They can't be consistent. I think some of their performances have been fairly consistent. Like they haven't played too badly in a lot of games. But
they weren't bad away against Newcastle, but still lost.
Exactly. But we said that at the time, that as much as the performances are good, when you're playing well and losing, that's a little bit of a worry. Like they'll still have a strong season, don't get me wrong, or a decent season. They won't be challenging for the league or anything like that. Or
I don't think Champions League is there for them personally.
I'd say that
I don't think they're consistent enough.
But they'll that's what they should be aiming for.
Yeah.
But yeah. So far this season, they certainly haven't been consistent enough.
No. But I think they'll probably get a European place, but just not Champions League. And this is it top 5 now.
We're not top 5 yet. How the Champions, everyone in the British teams in Europe, how they do, because it's based on the coefficient in the season, which is worked out based on the amount of games English teams in the Champions League win.
Okay.
Or in all European competitions win.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But that's why I said that the Europa League would probably be is a realistic target for them based on the clubs that are in that competition and the start that they've had.
And maybe the League Cup, because they've just knocked City out.
And they've got United at home next, which before obviously Ten Hag got sacked, you'd say is a decent draw. Now it feels like United are going to be better. I mean, they have to be better for the rest of the season. It
can't be much worse, surely.
No, I know. Should we come to them and talk about United next?
Go on then, why not?
What did you make of the decision to sack him? I mean, it's been coming for a little while, as we've spoken about.
It was like Mr. Smith, wasn't it? Inevitable.
Yeah.
But the whole thing smacks of poor management from
INEOS.
Yeah. Why get rid of him now? You should have just done it in the summer.
When they were looking at other candidates,
yeah,
including Ruben Amorim.
Give the bloke a full pre-season.
Players that he wants to sign to bring in.
Or identify some players, because he might not have got them all, but you've got other transfer windows and then a bit more time to do it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know, but it's ironic really, because United actually played really well from the highlights I've seen. And like you say, Dalot missing the open goal, Garnacho hitting the bar.
They played well first half. That's what it was. Likewise against Palace when they drew 0-0, was smacked of similar performances.
Yeah, they just couldn't stick the ball in the net, could they? But I think it was Martinez came out and said, at the end of the day, we're the ones on the pitch. We need to take our chances, or words to that effect. But the penalty decision was disgraceful.
Yeah, I know the penalty decision was disgraceful. It's I said it at the time, obviously last weekend, because I'd seen it. But how they're given that on VAR, I've got no idea.
Who the VAR was, don't you?
Michael Oliver.
Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, if David Coote was the VAR and Michael Oliver was the man on the pitch, would he have sent Oliver to the screen?
Probably not.
No way.
And Michael Oliver might not even have given it if he'd been sent to the screen anyway.
I'm saying if Michael Oliver hadn't even seen it. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way, if roles were reversed, there's no way he would have sent Oliver to the screen.
No.
So you wonder if do they have their own like almost internal hierarchy, because he's gone to the screen now by someone who everyone says is the best ref in the country.
Yeah.
Bear in mind he gave that penalty against Knockaert in the
Watford Leicester
game where Deeney and all that sort of thing.
No, but because arguably as well, Danny Ings, there was like a handball there. According to the letter of the law, before the foul was made, the ball was kicked onto Danny Ings' arm, which it wasn't like deliberate, but again, according to the letter of the law, it should have been given as handball. Completely ignored that. I've got no idea how they gave the penalty then after that, considering it was never a penalty.
But even the contact, like,
no, I know.
You hit the nail on the head last week. It's like they're re-refereeing it.
Yeah, but that's what the issue that I had.
How is that clear and obvious? It's not even a foul. It's a bit of contact. It's a contact sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
corruption.
Well, yeah, because now it's obviously lost Ten Hag his job. Yeah, and United might get a little bit better.
Yeah, but they've still got deep
issues.
Problems.
I come back to Ralph Rangnick's quote in one of his last press conferences that the club needs open heart surgery.
Did he also say like you're putting plasters on like massive bleeds and you need, I don't know.
Words to that effect, it wouldn't surprise me, but similar things, because as much as I said previously, that there will be a little bit of a bounce, especially for the rest of the season. I imagine they can't be as bad as they have been. The issue at that club, they might have changed some of it off the pitch, but in terms of players on high contracts and big wages, older players especially, that they need to get rid of. And we say this as Arsenal fans, having gone through that process of getting rid of all the deadwood, they're still like 2 or 3 years away from doing that and from them really challenging again. So, and it's been multiple managers where that's been an issue. Whether it's now going to change under Ruben Amorim, I'm not really sure.
Are they going to give him the time? What if he loses his first 5 games?
Then they'll be calling for his head again, a bit like West Ham fans are with Lopetegui.
I mean, to continue about Man United, hold my hands up, I was wrong. I thought that Van Nistelrooy would be in for a little bit, get some good results, and they'll give him a full-time contract. Yeah. That's obviously going to happen after Amorim gets sacked in about 6 months' time.
Assuming Van Nistelrooy is kept on to his
I mean, he surely must be, though. You don't bring someone in
over the summer. Yeah.
Because, again, that really smacks of rubbish management.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, West Ham fans, Lopetegui, David Moyes wasn't so bad, was he, really?
Well, I saw...
I think there was a podcast that discussed that sort of stuff.
I saw the...
unbiased views.
I saw the some West Ham fans on YouTube after yesterday's result going, Lopetegui is the Spanish Moyes. So
that's a bit disingenuous, isn't it? Like, they weren't this bad off last season under Moyes, were they?
No. Again, talking to other podcasts, I also saw David Moyes appear on a podcast, I think, after he'd been sacked, saying he was at West Ham for multiple years. He doesn't understand what the West Ham way is. Again, coming back to like style of play and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what it is. All I know is at the moment, they don't have a clear style of play and a clear identity. Against United last week, for the first half especially, they got played off the park. Got played off the park yesterday against Forest. I know they went down to 10 men at the end of the first half, but even that was a stupid, as you'll see when you come to watch it.
Was Fabianski in goal yesterday again?
Yeah, he made some good saves as well.
Yeah, so he's dropped Ariola then?
He has, yeah. As he did last week.
Yeah. It's, like you say, what do you want? Like, do you want? I know season before last, it was really up in the air, like they could have been relegated, but they then won the European Cup.
Exactly.
But we always knew that was going to be fine. Yeah. With David Moyes, you'd always be fine.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're Sunderland, but that was a little while ago, to be fair.
But Sunderland was a mess as well. I mean, how many managers did they have come in?
Well,
you had Di Canio, Poyet, Advocat, Allardyce came in as well.
Yeah.
Moyes, I mean, Steve Bruce,
was there at some point, but they seem
all a revolving door.
They seem to really struggle for like 2/3 of the season. Sack the manager. They have a new manager bounce for the end of the season, stay up, and then that process would just repeat, and eventually it will catch up with you. So
yeah. Do you remember, on a completely different tangent, do you remember when Di Canio was the manager, and I think they just lost away at West Brom, and he was standing in front of the Sunderland fans, and I was all showing, and it was like he was distant, like, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I'm still getting paid.
Yeah. I also remember his knee slide in his suit. I think at St James's Park when
Sunderland must have been. Yeah. There's the only place to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, because obviously he's giving it to all the Sunderland fans who at St James's Park, the away fans are always at the top tier, so his
in the cheap seats.
Yeah. We should have spoken a little bit about Palace when, obviously, because they did beat Tottenham last week. The only thing I did want to say, did you see
Eagles.
Mateta's goal, Eze's flick?
I did. Yeah, I did. I'm trying to remember it.
The ball was crossed in, and it's like a little back heel touch. It was it was just sumptuous. It wasn't as good as Jimenez's back heel, but for like awareness and then technique to execute,
was it a back heel? Or was it a flick sort of through side foot? Wasn't it
side foot, but
behind him? Exactly. Yeah, I do. Yeah, very good.
It was lovely, and hopefully
the first good thing he's done this season.
He scored a good goal against Chelsea. Got him a point.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to see Mateta start ahead of Nketiah last week.
Well, because Nketiah started ahead of him in the previous game, didn't he?
Well, he had been. He'd been given a run of games that hasn't scored or hadn't scored. He still hasn't scored. Obviously, with Eze injured yesterday against Wolves.
You're saying that was wrong?
Well, Eddie needs a goal. And then I was reading some of the commentary, the fans messaging into BBC Sport while I was keeping up to date with the Wolves Palace score yesterday. And them saying that £30 million on Nketiah was a waste of money and he doesn't do anything, which I felt a little bit
harsh.
Yeah,
it's an away game. Once he gets a goal, we might get might get a run going, mightn't he?
Yeah, obviously
he could be the next Chris Wood. You can tell I didn't put him in my FPL team this week
because he scored again.
Yeah. I didn't put him in. I was like, nah.
If Chris Wood can do it, anyone can do it. No, I'm joking. Did you see his goal against Leicester?
The touch and turn. Yeah, very good.
Well,
that's a confident striker in form.
I know.
Chris would have a couple of seasons ago wouldn't have done that.
Well, I'd be interested to ask Newcastle fans what they thoughts on Chris Wood are, because obviously he was at Newcastle before he went to Forest, and some of the games that he played for them and some of the chances that he missed, they weren't best pleased with him. Hence why Eddie Howe was quite eager to ship him out.
It's a good purple patch, and then come the end of the season, I guarantee you'll hear commentators saying, "Oh, it's not on the form it was at the beginning of the season." That will happen.
Yeah. But obviously
you can clip it and you can watch it towards the end of the season.
Who
are these guys?
I'll save it for when he does drop off. This was recorded back in November.
No, just what they call it, retweet it, repost it, whatever it is. Yeah. Put it on the line. Have you seen that film, The Internship?
I haven't, no.
It's quite good. Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. They go to Google for like this internship. They're salespeople and they lose their jobs. Blah blah blah. Got no idea of the technological world. So Vince Vaughn's like, "Yeah, why don't you get a picture and then you can put it on the line?" Yeah, there's apps for that already. Yeah, no, but put it on the line so everyone can see your picture. Like, yeah, that's how I feel at the moment with technology where it's progressing.
Genuinely, yeah. Anywhere else you want to go next? Anything specific, or we can go to Ipswich? You want to go to Ipswich?
No one wants to go to Ipswich. Sorry.
Brutal.
Ipswich, yeah, in actual fact, at 2-0 up, Brentford gave the ball away to them in front of goal. And they missed the chance.
3-0. Yes, it should have.
And these are the margins. I mean, when you're like Everton and you can't hold a 2-0 lead, Ipswich at 2-0 up, like I say, buried that one. That would have been game over. And then Brentford went up and scored the other. They made it 2-2 before half-time, didn't they?
Yeah. You've got to be taken your chance.
I mean, can you imagine going in half-time after you've been 2-0 up and it's 2-2? Like,
on both sides.
I know, but it's a cliche from the Ipswich side of things, but completely changes your team talk, doesn't it? Well, the lad's done really well. What the was that? How have you thrown that away? Yeah. They're just... I've seen your clips on it. There's the squad depth just isn't...
I'd say quality isn't...
Yeah, the depth of quality isn't good enough. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
But they're decent. They compete. They give teams a good game. But ultimately, over the course of the season, unless they really strengthen in January, which is what a couple of Ipswich fans responded to my clip saying that's what they needed to do. Yeah. But unless they do that, they're going down, which is sad to say because I want them to stay up based on back-to-back promotions. It's a new team in the Premier League, but obviously it's going to be based on performances at the end of the day.
It's bizarre though, isn't it? Because in the games where they've scored more than one goal, they've also conceded more than they've scored. And yesterday, the Leicester result, I know they went down to 10 men at 1-0 up, but they go 1-0 up.
Never a red card. Wait until you see it. But it was
2 yellows, wasn't it?
Never a red
I've not
card.
seen it, no.
The first yellow was a yellow, but the second yellow, he pulled his foot out. There's never a second booking.
But the VAR can't do second yellows, can they? No. So he gives it as he sees it, doesn't he, the ref, and that thing. And I'd rather that than all this VAR nonsense.
Yeah, no, I agree, based on the conversation that we were having last week. So.
Yeah, Ipswich just seem... It's going to be a long old season for them.
Especially... based on the fact they haven't picked up a win yet, and some of the positions, again, it was in the clip, but some of the positions they've been in games, most notably the Brentford one last week when they're 2-0 up, had the chance to go 3-0 up. Obviously yesterday 1-0 up against a the team that they came up with at home. Those are the games you've got to win if you want to stay up.
And then from what I was reading, hanging on towards the end after they equalised with all the stoppage time.
Yeah, well, when you watch Match of the Day, if you watch the analysis, they'll show you like the difference. They put stats up.
I never watch the analysis.
No, fair enough.
I just skip through to watch the football.
They did put stats up of pre-red card when Leicester were second best to post-red card when Leicester absolutely dominated Ipswich. Which
they're good at dominating 10-men teams, Leicester.
Yeah, who in...
Southampton away.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. The other week. Yeah, the only other one on Ipswich I wanted to say is... kind of like reflects the whole squad, but I don't think the keeper's good enough. I mean, we kind of said it last season because he was at Burnley, Muric. He makes some really good saves, but then he still either gives the ball away when he's trying to play out, or last week when you needed him to save the cross from Mbeumo, which is what it was, you know, Brentford's winning goal when he floated the ball in.
Yeah.
I could understand if Wissa or somebody was going to attack the ball, like pretending to head it, because honestly, whenever the ball goes like across and you're watching football, I swear, if you just watch people that are around you, everyone will just go like that. It's the most natural reaction in football. Everyone, as soon as the ball goes up in the air for an attacking header, what? Doesn't matter if it's your team or it's the team that you.
The manager's on the touchline.
I saw McKenna yesterday in an Ipswich chance. The ball goes up. He's like, what? It's the most natural reaction in football. It just makes me laugh. But yeah, I don't think Muric is good enough. So.
Well, we didn't have much Premier League experience last season because Trafford was ahead of him, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So, young Trafford was ahead of him. But when he did play, he gave...
Towards the end of the season. Brighton's goal
of the month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was quality.
That was quality, yeah. Where else do you want to go to next? Otherwise, we'll go to Liverpool and Arsenal. But I kind of wanted to save them, because we always talk about Arsenal, so save them a bit until towards the end.
The only thing... Forest on a European charge you've put here? That's a no from me.
It was more satirical, than anything else. But it's more reflecting...
Bit of that in it. Knee-jerk reaction. For those that didn't get it.
I didn't get it initially. I thought you were making a reference to me jockey at the start.
Just the knee-jerk, yeah. So for that, and I think for Isaac not squaring it to make it 2-2 and giving me 3 points, he could be Ben's
Donut of the week. Viva was Donut of the week last week.
Yeah.
Somebody else, I was going to give it to somebody yesterday based on what I saw. Can't remember it now off the top of my head.
I've not seen it all.
Yeah.
But I'll pick it up and we'll do it when we next record.
Yes, indeed. Okay, then let's come to the Arsenal-Liverpool game specifically, and I want to talk about Liverpool first. Based on the highlights that you watched, because obviously you didn't watch it live,
no.
Were you a little disappointed in Liverpool in the fact that... So from watching it live, the amount of the defence that we ended with, because Gabriel had to go off injured, the game was there for them to go and win if they really wanted to go and win it. But as much as they pressured to get it back to 2-2, as soon as it went to 2-2, it felt like they sat off again and they were quite happy with a point. So from that side of things, were Liverpool a little bit disappointing?
Not from an Arsenal fan's perspective, no. They sat back.
Fair enough.
Maybe they didn't want to get caught on the counter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're a Liverpool fan, it's like when we watched Arsenal away at United last season, like 1-0, and you're thinking, please kill it off.
Yeah.
And they don't. So yeah, as a Liverpool fan, you'd probably be frustrated. We probably could have got 2 more points there.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, the only thing you'd say from a Liverpool perspective is before the game they're missing their best centre half. They didn't know about Saka, but obviously he did start. Arteta played some games there, didn't he?
Yeah.
So you'd think, before the game they're missing their main centre half, got a good chance, but away from home pick up a point.
In the wider context of the start,
not the worst result, is it?
No, in the wider context of the start of the season, it was a good point because it reflected. Well, it's another point to build on a very good start of the season. I only say that because thinking about what it takes to win a Premier League, especially with City. Not that we've won a Premier League, so I don't have experience talking from that perspective. But when you're competing with City and there's a game there for the taking, it felt like go for it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the season, these little things do all add up. Like last season, where we said about the Newcastle decision, and we obviously didn't get a point there.
From our side, yeah.
But what you forget is what it takes to win the league these days is 115 charges and a lot of money.
Yeah.
and the best referee in the league in your pocket.
on your payroll. Yeah. Best referee in the league.
Yeah. I've never agreed with that sentiment.
I always used to say Anthony Taylor. I know he's had a few iffy decisions.
He had one in this season. He had one in this game. Michael Richards pulled it up on Match of the Day too.
Which one are you talking about?
The 50-50 at the very end. I know he blows the whistle before the ball goes in the net, but Richards pulled it up. He was like, have a look, he's seen it. Then when the ball bounces towards the goal is when he blows for the foul.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
Let it play out.
Well, no, what happened is, they've got their earpieces in. It's like, Anthony, it's Michael. We need these to draw. It'd be better for City. That's bounced through, so you need to give the free kick.
Well,
okay.
As Dad said, that Anthony Taylor was wearing City blue, so it, it kind of showed it. Oh, on Arsenal, are we too defensive and cautious, do you think? Now, this isn't necessarily talking about the Liverpool game in general. I'm just talking about our style of play so far this season.
No, he's doing what works for him at the moment. We've got no Odegaard, who's our main playmaker. It's becoming more evident that we're missing him now. So he's got to do what he's got to do. If people don't like it, tough. Like we're not winning leagues. We're not winning the league this season now.
No.
Like we're not going to be close to it. I don't think. And that's not knee jerk because we've lost. That's just based on performances so and style. Season. Yeah. But then take us back to last season. Last season we sort of said, well, we're not playing as well as the season before. We're not as attacking. We're not as free flowing.
Not the first half of the season.
No, the second half of the season it kicks on again. Maybe again wants to try and kick on the second half of this season.
Yeah, we don't want to be too far behind if we were going for a title though. But I
think try and finish top 4, have a good cup run. That's what he needs to do.
In the quarters of the League Cup, obviously, FA Cup to come, Champions League had a decent start, but now got 2 tough away fixtures. But based on the performances so far this season, there's no way we're winning the league.
Yeah. No, I don't think so either.
No, which is a shame to say. I know we've had a lot of injuries. The only thing is, last week you said that you weren't going to question any of Arteta's methods or tactics.
That's correct.
I kind of understand based on where we were and what he's done for us, but do you not think that he should be criticised where criticism needs to be had? He can't be immune from criticism.
No, he's not immune from criticism, but I think sometimes the criticism is too much. I mean, look at when it was going well. He celebrates too much. Look at his behaviour on a touchline.
No, I'm not even talking about...
No, I know.
I'm talking about more from like your own perspective in terms of like your own thoughts, and because it sounded like you weren't going to criticise him over anything.
No, well, I mean, when we watch games, there's certain things where it's like, even last season, when we're watching the games, we go, what's he taking Odegaard off for? It's only a go up.
Villa at home when we were drawing 0-0 at the time.
What's he doing that? Yeah. Why is he saving for this? Where do you want your focus to be?
Yeah.
But other than a comment like that, no, I'm just, like I said, in Arteta we trust. There was that season where the results were so poor, I think potentially even said on here he needs to go.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see what the plan was. I can see what the plan is now. He doesn't have the squad depth either. He doesn't have all the quality he needs yet.
But then
in the January transfer window, Edu's going to say, right, Mikel, I think it's really time to buy a striker. And he's going to go, no, we need a defender.
I knew you were going to bring that up. I could see where you were going, like 4 steps ahead.
Yeah.
The only reason why I talked about the criticism side of things is because, from my perspective, obviously I understand where Arteta's taken, like we were in doldrums before he was appointed, even some of the seasons, like the first couple of seasons that he was there, as you just said, the run that we were on at one point, I think we won 1 game in about 14, and that was away United.
Yeah.
It was a good job that fans weren't in the stadium because fans would have been calling for his head. But the last 3 seasons, including this one, it feels like the best football that we've played was the 2022-23 season, where nobody expected us to challenge for the league, but for most of the season we were up there, and then we fell away towards the end. I read a book a couple of weeks ago by a journalist basically saying that following that season, Arteta decided that he wanted to have more control in games, which I think we saw a little bit last season. We weren't as gung-ho. It meant that we played a more boring style at times, though. It feels like we're still sticking to that. We're certainly not as exciting as we were in 2022-23, and now at the moment we aren't getting the results that we were getting, especially in the second half of last season. So I don't know. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is it would be quite nice to go back to how we were a little bit in the 2022-23 season, because fundamentally you want to be entertained first and foremost. And, well, we certainly got the players to play like that. we can still pick up results playing like that. If we're not picking up the results playing, supposedly trying to have more control.
Are you saying at the moment his tactics are hindering some of the players because Martinelli isn't on form like he was in that season you're talking about?
That could be a confidence issue as well.
Jesus is a shadow of what he was, but I think that's because of his injury.
Knee injury, yeah.
And the fact that he's not starting, I think there's probably a little bit of sulking going on there as well.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So it's down to him really. He obviously feels he needs more control. Maybe he feels that season where we came really close. Maybe if he feels if the final third of the season he played this style, I'd have won it.
Potentially. I understand why if he has decided that he wants more control in games, because we were in that season 2022-23, like Bournemouth, for example. I know we won the game, but we were like, you have a shot, we have a shot.
Yeah.
And eventually it worked out, but we got found out at Brighton at home or other games towards the end of the season. So I understand why he's reverted to it. I want more control in games.
Fans like that if they win.
No,
because we're fickle. It's if we don't win, like it's like because me personally, I quite like the mentality. If you're good enough, I like the mentality of go and score 2, we'll score 3.
Yeah. Well, that's the most exciting style of football to be played, though.
But because there's so much money involved in it and it's a results business, all it takes is a few fans to start getting on the back and he'll lose his job.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he'll lose his job in this, but I'm talking generally, like with other managers.
No, I know.
Lopetegui, if he has the next few results that aren't good, he'll be the next one gone.
No, I know. Well, we'll come to some of the questions now that I wanted to ask.
Or Gary O'Neill, because apparently I was getting on his back.
They were. It was funny. Yesterday, they were 1-0 down. He made a couple of substitutions. The fans didn't agree with his substitutions, calling you don't know what you're doing.
I heard. Oh, well, sorry, I read.
Yeah. And then
they went 2-1 up,
They went 2-1 up, yeah. Obviously, couldn't see it out. And
No.
potentially should have lost the game because Anthony Taylor making a referee decision that was a little bit soft on Jose Sarr. Not according to Joe Hart, who quoted the letter of the law, but you'll see it when you watch it. Anyway, let's come to some of the questions.
If I was Gary O'Neill, when I went 2-1, I'd say to the ref, just pause it a minute, go in the centre circle.
Yeah. Give it the old Mourinho, like. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Do the old Delia. Where are you?
Yeah.
Don't know what I'm doing. Oh.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, love it.
Right, let's come to a few other talking points and questions that I had written down based on the season so far. So, based on results and performances so far, which teams do you think will be involved in the title race come the end of the season, and which teams do you think will be involved in the relegation battle?
So City will be involved in the title race, obviously.
Yeah.
And then it's whoever the referees want to make it look like City are fighting against.
So Forest?
Yeah, maybe Forest, yeah. Come on, Forest, for the title. And then relegation battle, well, that's going to be Southampton, Ipswich, Everton, Leicester, and Wolves if they don't start picking up some wins soon.
West Ham as well? Well, Wolves are bottom at the moment, so you've got to throw them in there at the moment.
No, I don't think West Ham will be in a relegation battle. They're not playing to the expectations, but
and the players that they've got.
Yeah. But it'll be home games for them. Like, even though they're all over the place, as long as they keep winning majority of their home games.
1 and 2 home games or something like that.
Yeah, I know they lost to Villa, didn't they? Opening day of the season.
They lost their first 3 home games, but it was Villa, Chelsea, City. Obviously, again, we said it previously, but the one against Chelsea was the worst loss, especially because they were so open defensively.
And they stole one off of Man United last weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, like, a win's a win, and beating Ipswich.
Oh, well, exactly. That's what I mean, a win.
Yeah.
So
it does feel like at the moment, though, based on results and performances so far, West Ham down. So West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Palace, Ipswich, Southampton, Wolves are going to be, it feels like, towards the bottom of the end of the table. But Ipswich, big loss for Everton yesterday as well, away at Southampton, who have been really poor. They managed to keep a clean sheet at last. Light the beacons! Ramsdale made one really good save against Michael Keane.
Shock.
But the amount of chances Everton had, they should have.
Oh, really?
They should have scored 1 or 2 at least. Beto at the bar from about 4 yards out.
Who hit the bar, sorry?
Beto.
Oh, Beto.
Beto, yeah.
Needs to do Beto then.
Well, I think Calvert-Lewin started and then Beto came on again.
Okay.
I think, but Calvert-Lewin wouldn't have scored anyway. It's funny. No. What do you mean? You're the one that went East Championship level. Have you seen?
Yeah, but you went. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I do agree. So did all the Everton fans, by the looks of it. I put that clip out on TikTok last night. Again, only got a few comments, but there was no positivity. It was, he's rubbish. Beto needs to start. That's what we've all been calling for.
Really?
Get him gone at the end of the season.
That is really interesting. Really interesting. Because normally, you get a load of nonsense from other fans, but it's funny that we've got our finger on the button.
Well, no, for the Everton clip so far this season, because the other one that I did was me saying that I think they'll be fine, which I still do think they'll be fine. And obviously that's more positive about their club, so most Everton fans are going to react positively to that. But yeah, the engagements that I've had with Everton fans so far this season have been better than all the ones that I've had with other teams. Yeah, even though...
Welcome to the Casual Everton Fans Podcast.
We'll start talking about Everton every week. We love your new stadium.
Boss that.
Yeah. You
shouldn't have had to build one. You used to be at the old stadium, didn't you? Outrageous, those landlords. Or whatever the story was. You know that, don't you?
No, I don't know that.
The Everton team used to be Liverpool Stadium. You must know about that history.
What, talking about at Anfield?
Yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Ground.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
But that's probably why they also then had those conversations. So, because Everton wanted to build a new stadium, they were talking about sharing with Liverpool at Anfield, which obviously never came to fruition. But
I mean, that'll happen at some point in the future, won't it? Like, where teams will start to ground share if they're close enough. Build one big stadium, because that'll be logistically, like, because they don't have... Everton never play at home when Liverpool are playing at home, not on the same day, because of the logistics of security, policing, all that sort of stuff. Well, transportation.
The biggest example in Europe is the Milan teams that they ground share at the San Siro. You talk about
a lot of the Italian teams did ground share.
Talking about logistically, though, the only issue with that is at the end of every game they have to change from like the blue decor and decoration to the red decor and decoration.
Just keep it neutral. Just keep it all neutral.
It feels like it would
make
more sense. Yeah, it feels like it would make more sense. Which Premier League team has impressed you most so far this season?
I'm going to say Forest.
Forest are definitely one.
Yeah. Forest have done really well. Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And that's not because of the result yesterday. Just generally, they've done quite well. And that's about it, really, I think.
So I agree with the two you've given. I want a word for Aston Villa as well.
Villa.
Yeah, based on... I know that it was a disappointing draw against Bournemouth last week, but how good they've been in the Champions League so far this season.
Oh, very good,
Haven't yet seen like a drop-off in Premier League games yet.
Well, kind of a little bit in there, because the United game after...
And then obviously the Bournemouth game.
And the Bournemouth, I know they didn't win, and it was like last knock-ins. Yeah. But like you say, probably a little bit leggy.
But it's going to start to happen the more Champions League games that they play.
It will do.
But that's why so far this season...
But then if they get to where... They've won 3 out of 3 so far, aren't they?
In Champions League?
Yeah, they're top of the league, I think, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
If they win their next 3, those final 2 games, player reserves, doesn't matter. You're through, aren't you? Because you're top 8.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there you go. Put your feet up, rest of your players.
Yeah. And the only other one that I wanted to say, Brighton have impressed me a little bit. Somewhat inconsistent, but the criticism that I gave for them based on their high line, they picked up a good win against Newcastle.
They've almost come full circle again, haven't they? As in, like, they've now stopped conceding a load of goals.
Yeah.
It's like it's gone, got onto something. Not us, like everyone else that's been talking about it.
But I guess that's what happens. You give a manager more time to refine what he's trying to do. Yeah. And it starts to work out. And they should have gone 2-0 up at Anfield yesterday, but the centre forward missed a chance. So don't take chances. Yeah, that's what happens.
Exactly.
Anyway,
they get punished.
Yeah, they have impressed me so far this season. Which Premier League manager is most under pressure at the moment?
Amorim. He is.
He's not even a Premier League manager yet.
I know, but he will be, won't he? It's because he's the one that's got to turn it all around.
Shit. Yeah, but is that not an easier thing to do based on how bad they've been so far this season? They shouldn't be there with the players that they've got.
It all depends. I mean, I knew they was going to absolutely smash Leicester midweek. If Ten Hag was there, they wouldn't have smashed them like that.
No, they still probably would have won because it's League Cup.
It really, they'd still won it. Yeah, but you know when you see that, you're just like, you weren't playing for him.
But that's why the rest of this season, I feel like they're going to be okay. They're going to be decent. I don't think they'll get top 4 or anything like that, but they'll probably finish in European places, maybe with a decent cup run. Longer term, though, until they get those players out that are on long-term contracts or high wages and effectively bleeding the club dry, it's just the cycle is going to repeat. I bring it back to Ragnick's words again. The club does require open heart surgery. They've had some change off the pitch. It's now time to see change implemented on the players that they have. As in,
watch Rashford start coming into form again.
Probably, yeah. If he's preferred in Amarin's, whatever he sets up and his style of play.
So I'm not being disingenuous when I say that. He'll be the most under pressure manager because he's coming in and he's got a lot to do. Other ones, I mean, Gary O'Neill. I can't. What's the Southampton manager's name?
Russell Martin.
I knew it was Martin. I was like, is it Martin something? Yeah, Russell Martin. And Lopetegui.
Yeah, Lopetegui and Gary O'Neill are the two for me. Anyway, in line with the which Premier League manager is most under pressure at the moment, which Premier League team do you think has underperformed the most so far? I imagine you're going to say similar to the managers that are under pressure, their clubs.
Well, the team that's most underperformed so far, I'd argue, would be Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And then
Wolves as well for me, based on the players that they've got.
They did have a tough run-in though, didn't they?
No, true.
Tottenham, would you argue they've underperformed a little bit? I mean, you might not expect them to... I'm almost going to contradict myself there, but you might not expect them to lose away at Palace. Maybe not win, but not expect them to lose with how Palace had been.
Yeah. I don't think Tottenham have underperformed though. I just don't think their results have reflected performances. I think they've played pretty well. Yeah, they're just not seeing games out.
Fair enough. I'm just throwing it out there. Arsenal potentially, you could argue, based a little bit underperformance, like the Brighton game we drew, and they've got excuses, haven't they? Like, down to 10 men, this, that, and the other, but there were still chances for them to win the game. So they're not free of criticism, even though we're Arsenal fans. There you go.
Well, considering we said that we both had us winning the league at the start of the season, I know in our predictions, and it's a little bit like rose-tinted glasses, but we, like as you said,
I know, but alcohol's a wonderful thing.
I haven't drunk for a very long time. Thank you very much.
Since that prediction, right? Yeah. Just at the end of the season when we haven't won anything. I'll tear out.
Yeah, Palace is a very good shout because they should have been, especially towards the finish that they had last season. And again, West Ham.
You said it as well. The Leicester game at home, going 2-0 down. And even for me, losing at home to West Ham, having seen how poor West Ham have been as a whole.
Retrospectively, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, whether fairly or unfairly, judging it on their final third of last season when Glasner came in and they were like, who's this team?
Exactly. Completely different. A couple of points, more points to wrap up, or a couple more questions. So, Championship football. Have you seen, not necessarily highlights, but how clubs have performed so far in the Championship? You've been keeping up to date much of it?
I'll try and check the scores, but I can't remember all of them. I know Sunderland are doing well.
Yeah, although they drew yesterday away at QPR, who were bottom of the league.
Was it 0-0 in the end?
It is 0-0,
Was 0-0, yeah, I thought so.
Joe Ballon got sent off, and rightfully so, because it wasn't the best of tackles. The question that I wanted to ask you, though, is have you been surprised how the three clubs that got relegated last year, so Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton, have fared so far in the Championship? So not talking about performances, just talking about purely the results that they've got. Burnley sits in 4th, Sheffield United sits in 3rd, and Luton sitting 21st.
No, it doesn't surprise me.
Even with Luton as far
Even
down
with
as
Luton, because for them, it's a bit like there are some teams where that happens to, like Huddersfield, who are now League One.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be really fair to say Wigan because they were sort of always near the bottom and had been in the league for a few seasons.
They had financial issues as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anyone else who's come up and then struggled the next season. Sunderland got double relegated, but they were near the edge. So with Luton, they had a lot of Championship players, didn't they? But now they've also lost. Well, they lost Barkley. I don't think Townsend's there either.
Townsend's in Turkey.
They're getting work done. Doesn't need to get work done on the cheap in Turkey, surely. And even Sambi Lokonga, that sort of
caliber of player.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So no, it doesn't surprise me because they was on that high, and now they got relegated, and they're now riding that low.
Yeah.
Hopefully they won't get relegated for the sake of the manager, but
if they're
Nathan Jones is available. If not,
is it Charlton at the moment? Isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah.
See, that's how much I keep up with it.
Well,
so what happened to Lee Bowyer?
I don't know.
He must have been gone a while ago then.
Yeah,
because he was at Charlton as well for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know where he's.
I think Norwich won yesterday, didn't they?
No, Norwich lost 2-1.
Oh, did they lose 2-1?
They were 1-0 up. They conceded in the 89th minute and the 94th minute against Cardiff. Yeah, it does surprise me as much as I'm a little bit surprised that Luton are where they are so far this season. I get that they might have struggled a little bit to be down in 21st. I still think they'll be okay and be fine because, again, from what I've heard about how they performed so far this season, so West Brom on Friday night, they were by far the better team, but couldn't win the game. So you play enough games over the course of the season, I imagine they'll turn it around at some point. But compared to where Burnley and Sheffield United are, Sheffield United especially have surprised me a little bit. I thought they would have been mid-table, but the 2-point deduction, they're higher than Burnley at the moment. So, they're not doing too badly. Yeah,
and Chris Wilder, he knows what they're about, and he knows the Championship quite well. He's a Sheffield United fan, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
just hope they don't come up again, though, because if they come up, you know what's going to happen. They'll go straight
back down. Yeah, I know. Boring, isn't it?
And that, talking of boring, brings me on to the final point that I wanted to talk about or ask you. So you said that football was boring last week in reference to refereeing decisions, always knowing what's going to happen. Do you think too many games are being played along that line of commentary? Because that's another case in point. Yeah.
Too many games, too much media input, too much money, way too much money.
It's taken some of the excitement out of the game for you?
Yeah, and they try and hype it up as well. I mean, I don't know if they still do this. Like, when you've got big clashes like Arsenal, Man United, on Sky Sports News, they do a countdown clock.
To,
Like, really trying to overhype it, and then you go, and then sometimes the quality is awful. And then what do they say at half time?
Great tactical battle.
It's been an intriguing technical and tactical battle, this.
Yeah.
That's another word for saying it's boring.
Yeah. Good job not swearing. Yeah.
I'm doing well.
We are doing very well. Liverpool United, those games especially, that they used to build up all the time, and then especially when Mourinho was at United, and obviously set them up a little bit defensively, and it'd be like 0-0. And why are you hyped it up so much for?
Oh, no.
Yeah. But it's
just nonsense.
Far too many games are being played, also reflected by the amount of injuries that clubs are getting, the amount of ACL injuries so far this season.
But look at the wages as well for players. Like, I know I'm going back 20 years, but $100,000 a week it's still a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot of money now. But now $100,000 a week is like for your average player
or your mid-table Premier League side.
Yeah, like the top end players are £300, £400, £500 a week. But then they'll be moaning about the amount of games they play. The managers will moan about the amount of games they play and all that sort of stuff. Okay, well, don't have such high contracts from the media. Then they play less games, you get less money. Do you need all that money anyway?
Yeah, well, it's
you're getting paid a semi-detached house for some areas a week.
Maybe that will. There's going to be some sort of tipping point then that will come up eventually.
People always say the bubble will burst, but people go bankrupt for this. People for fear of missing out. Like, I don't understand it. And then you get some who are like, some people lord it over. Well, you're not a true fan because you don't go home and away. I go home and away every week and blah blah blah. And this and that. It's like, yeah, good for you. Yeah. Like, if you enjoy it, great. But if you're doing it just to go, oh yeah, I'm a true fan, do you really think that the board care about it?
Is that not being in it for the wrong reasons? Then you meant to just go to support your team. That's it. No?
Yeah. Oh, look at some of the away fans. Like, they're the diehard fans, right? And when we went to Arsenal Leeds, the Leeds fans are looking at the Arsenal fans looking for a fight. Yeah. The Arsenal fans down there are looking at the Leeds fans going, yeah, we'll fight you. No one's watching what's going on the pitch. Surely, if you like football, that's what it's about.
All that matters. It's only a game at the end of the day, as we talk about.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, I love football. I always have. But certainly in recent seasons, I used to religiously keep up to date with every score, every game. It's like there's so many these days, though, that it's... it feels like if you take some away, then you can justify some of the hype building up towards the games that are then genuinely exceptional. But there aren't really any exceptional games at the moment because there's one every 2 days.
It's gone so far now with the hype and over analysis and all that sort of thing that you get clips now from what they say post match in their commentary, or when Roy Keane's having an argument with Jamie Carragher or Jamie Redknapp and all that sort of thing, and all that's becoming iconic. It's a load of nonsense. Yeah, it really is.
Obviously, how it's then perceived.
And they're trying to, and it's all just clickbaity. Because if you get clicks and likes, they put in advertisement, you get more money.
Yeah.
It's to the detriment. And yeah, like you, 20 years ago, there's nothing I didn't know and couldn't predict. Not nothing, but there was. I remember. So it was before Beckham moved to Real Madrid, because obviously we didn't have all these smartphones and that sort of thing. And Chris Coleman, I think, had been interim at Fulham, and it was on the radio. It was in the car, And it came on the radio. It's like, oh, David Beckham has said he won't go to Real Madrid. And I said at the time, I went, he's going to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, Chris Coleman said he doesn't want the Fulham job. I went, he'll be Fulham manager next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But a lot of people look back on late 90s or the 2000s especially as like the best period of football ever, or especially in recent decades. Part of that, sure, like nostalgia is a powerful influence. It always has been, whatever you sort of look back on. But there is, to me, some truth there, again, just based on, I don't know, how we all used to perceive and watch football and the fact that it was more like entertainment. I don't know, it's just, now these days there's just too many games.
I mean, look at like the Ballon d'Or that we've just had. How many of those players, even with Vinicius, I mean, I don't watch the Spanish league. I try and keep up with the Champions League, but even the Champions League final, I didn't think he was. I know he scored, but I didn't think he was that influential in the game.
His highlight for me from that was the nutmeg, just because it was a nice little nutmeg. Yeah.
But when they get on the ball, how much you look in and go, oh, he's going to do something special.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like you say, it's easy to look back and go, oh, it's better. Like everyone does that, but I think of, you never knew what he was going to get with Torres. You never knew what he was going to get with Suarez, Berbatov, and Ronaldo. Rooney was different with his finishing, and then like Henry, Chelsea with Hazard, even Zola, going back really like late 90s, early 2000s. And I know that wasn't a good Chelsea team, but Zola would be like, oh, what's he done?
Magic.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I don't see that entertainment in players really. I mean, you look at City now. Who does that? Who's their most entertaining player? Doku?
Yeah. Or Savinho that they've just signed.
Oh, he's a diving. I can't stand him. He's stay on your feet, you tart. But even before that, who was their most entertaining player? Maybe Aguero, maybe Mahrez. And I was never a fan of Mahrez either. No.
But it brings you back to a conversation that we had on the podcast before I went away. I think I asked you the question, is it football becoming like too system focused?
Yeah.
And ultimately the answer is yes, it's more system over individual.
Yeah.
And it's probably that way because it's been proven to get more results. But in the entertainment side of things, you want to see somebody do a little bit.
Well, I'll go back to what Thomas Frank apparently said off camera
he
during
said
the European games.
But he explained it. So I saw a clip of him speaking, something on Sky Sports News the other day, of him talking about the reason why he said that is because, again, the chance of scoring outside the box is so much less than if you were to get closer to the goal. And yeah, it's true, but I want to see 30-yard screamers.
Exactly.
It's exciting.
I want to be entertained.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't go in, if it hits the bar or the keeper makes a great save.
Yeah.
Like,
it gets fans off the
it's
seat.
entertaining,
Which, to be fair, he did say that sometimes it is necessary. It's just more.
Of course it's necessary. It's called a variation of play, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, too systematic, too NFL, innit?
Football podcast. Yeah, we love the game. I mean, we do love the game. It's just not what it was. Certainly.
I mean, you're right, but I'm at an age where playing it's like, honestly, I see a banner when I'm driving around and it's advertising, we need players. Like, where would you be? And I'm looking at it and I'm going, veterans. No.
Walking football. Eh?
Walking football, I know. Will be with my knees.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I'll walk onto the pitch and it'll go, no, not today.
That's it, I'm done.
Are you allowed a goalie in walking football? Yeah, but you have to lie down.
And on that note, that cheery note to finish the podcast, thank you to everyone for watching, listening, wherever you're tuning in. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do like, subscribe, comment, get involved with everything we're producing.
Especially if you're an Everton fan.
One of us has got you back at least. We don't think you'll go down.
You're still going down, but we'll mention you next season when you're in the Championship. When Dominic Calvert-Lewin is banging them in.
As you said, as you said last episode. And on that note, thank you so much for joining me.
It's been a pleasure, thank you.
Yeah, you shall see and hear us in the next one.
Goodbye.